Welcome back to another video in the series of the psychology of high performance. Today we're going to be talking about the paradox of effort and trying too hard. Paradox of effort is the idea that yes, being successful is hard, trying to achieve success is hard, but there are certain kinds of effort and there's certain levels of trying, and that when you reach a certain point where you're trying too much, it actually can degrade your performance and degrade and kind of decrease your success. So we're gonna talk about this in a very specific kind of situation, and I'm gonna give one example. So one example maybe is you took a test, right? You're taking this test, you prepared for it, you feel ready, and you're going through it, and there's some hard questions, right? But you think you do pretty well, and then you kind of check your answers, and then you get to this point of okay, I still have some extra time on this exam. I feel pretty confident in my answers, and I checked them already, but maybe I should check them again, right? And maybe check them again. And then then you look through them and you realize, oh, wait a second, maybe this part, maybe I misread the question. Maybe this isn't really what it meant to be. And then you change that answer. Then you submit it. Then the test comes back. The answer you changed was wrong. The original answer you had was right. This is an example of where the paradox of effort comes into play, and trying too hard actually hurts you. A lot of times, your first impression, your first kind of, good glance at something, or when you're prepared, or your first big effort is usually pretty good. I'm not saying it's perfect, I'm not saying it's amazing all the time, but it's decent. And there is a line where you need to realize that decent and pretty good versus perfect is really what matters. Being pretty good will be more than sufficient in most aspects of life. As in, if you work really hard until something is pretty good, then you can submit it and work on to the next thing. If you always are trying to achieve perfection in everything, one, it's almost not possible because nothing is truly perfect. So you're chasing this imaginary goal that just never gets closer. And also you're spending way too much time on something that is let's say, decreasing in its value. How do I explain this? Well, let's imagine this as kind of like a graph, right? If we have a graph here, and let's say this is kind of like an effort graph. So let's say in the beginning, effort is effort's on the x-axis here, right? And then we have results, R for results, right? So in the beginning, you put in a bit of effort, you get very little results, and eventually you keep putting more effort and you get more results, right? But at a certain point, when you keep putting in a lot of effort, right, your results very decreased. And of course, it depends on what kind of situation or goal you're trying to achieve. But a lot of cases, you can get your A at this line here. You don't need to overkill and do it, right? For example, it's if you're taking a test and the teacher says, okay, for this test, you need to memorize this list of 100 things. And you memorize a list of 100 things. And you have practiced it, you're solid in it, but you're you know what? I need to memorize it 3 more times through and just keep practicing. You have reached this side where the effort you're adding is not really doing anything because you've already memorized it, you've already achieved that point. And this is where trying too hard actually hurts you, because now you're just wasting effort, time, and energy, pouring it into something that is not going to lead to more results. Versus, imagine if you had this let's say extra effort because you already finished it, and then you took this extra effort and you put it into something else, and now you start a second graph of a different situation. You start adding here, trying to get more results. Because if you think about it like a bucket, if you keep trying to fill the bucket that's already full, there's nothing, right? It just overflows. It doesn't do anything. But if you then take your effort and energy and time, and we imagine this as water, and you put that in a different bucket and you start to fill that bucket up, that can lead towards a new goal. So it's if you've already memorized the things for your test, work on the assignment that's due next week, or work on something else, work on improving some of your other skills. That is exactly really what you should be doing, instead of trying too hard at just one thing when the cutoff for success is much lower than what you're actually aiming for. Of course, take this with a grain of salt, right? There's a lot of situations where you do need to try extremely hard. But I'm saying don't try super hard at the easier things that you can actually achieve, because you just end up wasting a bunch of time on them. And there's some level of it, but at a certain point, some things will not require all your effort. Some things will, but some things won't. And it's very important to recognize what is not going to actually require all your effort, so that when you hit that threshold of success, you can move on to the next thing and conserve your time, energy, and effort for that. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. Otherwise, make sure to subscribe, and I'll